usual. Slightly unprepared because I'm actually out there buying and selling real estate all the time and or taking care of one of the many rentals that I own. Anyways, I actually got an offer brewing on a 65,000 square foot industrial park right now, roughly 65,000 square feet. Also, got another thing brewing. Got a few things brewing right now. I'm hopefully one or two or you never give up. You keep looking. Even if you find something, keep looking, keep looking. You know, been more than one time where I've had an absolutely fantastic deal, and I had to choose, pass it up for something even better that maybe took all my resources at the time. You not hear anything? Are we good? We're good? All right. And I got my assistants here helping, which is good. Stream says it's healthy. We're looking at things. Anyways, Valentine's Day. I know there's probably not a lot of people here, and if hopefully you're not just now remembering that these are that it's Valentine's Day, right? But it is. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And anyways, so I thought we could look at, I don't know, we can look at some fake guru stuff. We're going to talk about the news. We can talk about Doge, how Doge is good for real estate, good for investors. One thing you want as an investor, as any business person, right? We want certainty, and like any business, we don't want waste. And man, are we ever finding shitloads of waste? And you can see a lot of people lining their pockets. And it's funny. Usually, when a thief gets caught, they're usually the one that screams the most outrage. And it's funny if you see the elected politicians that you see complaining, they're faces that you don't normally see. In other words, this is their chance for fame. So in other words, the people at the high end, the faces that you see all the time, they're hiding. They are hiding. This happens on any kind of controversial issue. They hide and then say, "Hey, here's your chance, kid," meaning a junior congressman or a junior senator, somebody that really didn't get the limelight, and then they, that way they can keep their hands off, right? It just it's like having somebody. It's like being in the mafia and have somebody start your car for you. They're expendable. But I'm really excited about the Doge situation, and what you see in front of me right now. Let me see what I got here. Let's see what we got. Did you send me a link, son? To my text? I'm looking for it. I don't quite see it yet, I guess. Come around this side, son. If you would, take a look at my text. Anyways, what are you guys watching? Oh, maybe I got it. I think I do got it. We'll take a look. Yeah. So here's the thing. I say fake gurus stick together, right? Fake gurus stick together. Listen, do you ever see a commercial? You ever seen a commercial for like a plumber in your area? And he's doing his commercial with like 2 or 3 of his competition. It would smell, right? It would smell. It doesn't make any sense, right? But that's exactly what you see you don't see me collaborate with anybody that's even remotely fake. I won't even touch. But like I say, so you really hardly ever see me talk to anybody, but because it is 99% pure fakery out there, and so I can't do it. I won't mislead anybody. But if you notice, I don't collaborate with any of the fakes. Ben Mala doesn't collaborate with fakes, and neither does Manny Koshman. Okay, and so I know for sure the 3 of us, for sure, are good and safe, and I've talked to both those guys, and they are the real thing. There's no doubt about it. And but I don't know who's on your radar out there that's watching. You guys know I just did a video on Pace Morby. Pace is always extremely vague, and testimonials are vague. Everything's vague, but he's one of those guys, right? I mean, in fact, Ryan Pineda, right? I haven't picked on Ryan for a while, and I like him, and I mean, do I think he's tried real estate? Yes, but I think he's more of a talk show guy, or he's trying to be. But certainly, I mean, he spent a bunch of money with Cardone. He's got, I mean, he's been with just about everybody out there that you would normally be competing with. And Brandon Turner's another one too, right? In other words, we could go on and on and on. Anybody got any strong thoughts out there? Hey, Liam. Oh, Liam's got something to say. He always does. What's Liam got to say? Pace is a genius. Oh, hey, Michael. How you doing, buddy? But that's a good example. So like Ryan Pineda, though, let's talk about Ryan for a second. He got into this fund. It looked like a disaster. And I actually warned, I commented, I said, I wouldn't touch that thing with, a 10-foot pole or something like that. And sure enough, it was about 2 years later, he's talking about how he lost his ass on that fund and had, and this is the fund that he was opening up to the public, right, and looking for investors. And so he's been all over the place. So you got Ryan Pineda. Oh, my gosh, look at this. Oh, my God. This is funny to see this. Ryan Pineda, fake. Oh, no, this is a scam. This is silly. So this is Ryan Pineda, fake guru, and this is somebody that likes Ryan that did that so that you'd go in there and look and say, no, he's not a fake. But, there's fake, and then there's just absolutely inexperienced. And with Ryan particularly, I'd love to do a live. In fact, I wrote Brian, and I'd say, hey, I'll come down there and do one of your seminars, right? I'll go on there with the people that I think are fake. You can, but it's, anyways, I didn't hear back from him. But the fact is, a fake guru really doesn't want to be sitting next to a real, legitimate investor on stage, right? And because they pale in comparison. They don't have the history, don't have the credibility. Another one that's kind of got on my, that's kind of got my attention here lately, and not in a good way necessarily. And again, sometimes there's guilt by association, right? Guilt by association. So like sometimes I'll see somebody that thinks somebody's kind of, no, this guy might be all right, but then all of a sudden I see him associated with fake. And actually, a person wrote, Zuber constantly has all those guys on Pineda, Brandon Turner, etc. Yeah, and so like Zuber, I think, is a legitimate guy. I mean, he buys houses, and primarily is what he buys. And I like Michael. Anyways, and I interviewed him, and based on what I heard from him, but you know what, he's not the same kind of, he's not the same kind of investor as I am. I think he's a legitimate investor, and I don't even know much about anything he sells. He does like to talk about data a lot, and I don't. I mean, I don't like to talk about things that don't necessarily concern me or going to make a difference in my life. And I'm telling you, most people, like a lot of times in Zuber, I like Mike, so I'm not knocking Mike. But, Mike's a bit of an article reader. He likes to, he just likes to stay up with the trends and things, and that's what he's doing, and that's cool. But you're right, he does talk to a lot of people that are what I would say fake. And but it doesn't make him fake. But you question everybody, right? And I'll give you an example. What about, so Brandon interviewed people for Better Pockets, right? Brandon Turner, he interviewed people. That's not experience. Okay, what you need to be an expert. So actually, look at, here's something right in front of me. Oh, it's actually saying, look at, this is, okay, let's watch this. Let's just watch this. This will be interesting. Let's just watch this short.
You can't trade experience for anything else. I can learn from them, but until I actually do it, it's hard to have authority on it. Plus, I can only have authority on what I've accomplished. I retired from baseball in 2017. So I've truly only been in business for 6 years. That's what I've really focused in business. And then when you see guys like Patrick Bet-David, who've been doing it since he was 18 years old, a guy like Cardone's been in business for 40 years. I've been in business for 6. I don't get in the comparison game. I'm just very aware of my position and where I stand in the totem pole. I have more experience against the 99.9% of people. But if I'm looking at the guys I look up to, it's not that I'm behind or I'm slower or I'm not as smart. It's just time. You can't trade experience.
You're right. So I appreciate that comment coming out of him. And this is the first time I saw that, by the way. And Ryan, I would invite to talk to you because I appreciate your honesty. But like with Ryan, like I say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but you got into this fund. You had this, you were pushing for this complex. I think you were kind of saying you thought it'd be over 20 million. You walked through with this other guy. My understanding is one of the two buildings he didn't buy. And then actually it's, the gentleman he was talking to, I think has been trying to pawn it off, for lack of a better term, to somebody else. But the one that Ryan did get into, he found it was a little tough. And I had actually discerned the area pretty quickly and looked at it. And, I could see a lot of flaws. It didn't have, I think it didn't have central air. And they were talking about getting rid of the fans. And this is an area that is, down south where it's hot and muggy and terrible. And so I was poo-pooing this deal, and one of his staff called me, and they didn't appreciate me knocking it. But sure enough, one of those two deals that they bought went to shit, and I believe Ryan, and I appreciate Ryan's honesty. I'll give him that. But what he just said is 100% true, and it's something that the other guys don't say. But he's had to be humbled. He had to be humbled because he talked about being, flipping and doing all these flips, lost his ass flipping houses, bought more than he could handle, and the time and interest ate him up, and the sitting debt, and probably theft and everything else that goes with it. But so I appreciate what he's saying. But again, that's why I say when somebody is out there telling you the best way to make money at something, and even Cardone, I don't think Cardone knows. Listen, he doesn't know much about real estate at all, and his or maybe his advice is not necessarily. I mean, he doesn't know shit about real estate. I've already seen it. Now, don't get me wrong. He's bought some big properties with other people's money, Well, when you buy something with other people's money, you've really negated the risk for yourself in a very big way. And like somebody I had interviewed before, they said, yeah, they said, Grant gave me good advice on, being a good, worker, his 10 times thing. And I thought, well, what the hell, I'll give him a try, with the real estate. Well, and they found out that, he kind of, was extrapolating, and the guy kind of did it to himself a little bit, the success or the good advice in business, and thought, well, maybe he's also right about the apartments. And he regretted the $200,000 that he threw in with Grant. He said he made much more money with his own money. So Craig Canman said, Zuber is chasing clicks. I think he said chicks. Chasing clicks and followers, and that's why. Yeah, I believe that's true, Craig. I think it's just for and look, Michael and I get along great, and he's interviewed me, and I've interviewed him. And, and first of all, if I thought Zuber was fake, I wouldn't collaborate with him, right? And hats off to him because, because he's like I said, you correct. He's just getting clicks for it. And by the way, Cardone is somebody I think that kind of the attraction to people to Cardone, and I would include Ryan in this, is they're not interested in, I want to be a great investor like Grant Cardone, because he's not a great investor. But they want to be I want to be a great celebrity. I want to be a great YouTube celebrity and get a lot of followers and maybe extrapolate that to growing a fund. And so that's where I think the attraction is for other YouTubers that are following Grant. And then, the 99.9% of the other people, they actually believe that Grant brings something to the table. And I think he does, as far as, some business acumen for working hard in business. As real estate, I don't think he brings anything to the table at all. Very self-serving. Grant, I'd interview you anytime too. Grant and I are probably pretty close to the same age. In fact, I just turned 63, hard to believe. 44 years now, 44 years of investing. And so like Ryan said in this video, you can't trade experience. You can't pull it out of your ass, is what I say. You can't pull experience out of your ass. And so when you guys look at somebody, and he's really speaking the truth here in a big way. So hats off again, Ryan. But but unfortunately what can happen is, and I think Meet Kevin did some of this too, is, people are watching them, and then they may truly believe this, but they don't have the experience to have such a strong opinion about something, right? They go, oh yeah, this is the best way. Well, if you're saying that because you heard somebody say it, but you haven't lived it, and you really don't feel it, or you don't have enough history to legitimately feel it, then you shouldn't really tell everybody, or you know what I mean? It should be like a warning. Warning, I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I'm brand new. And you're kind of giving it after the fact here, but I appreciate it, Ryan. But I know with Ryan, like I said, and now I just got an email from Ryan, or somebody forwarded it to me, and it was talking about, I missed it. The money's in wholesaling. Guess what? That's not true either. I mean, it's okay to make crumbs, I'll call it, and I did a couple of wholesale deals when I was young because I didn't have the money to close. I just wasn't as established as I am. And so there is some opportunity, but it gets oversold. Believe me, my phone rings every frickin' day, and I don't answer it most of the time because, it says, call me or text me or write me an email if, that's what my message says. Because you get people that, it's like somebody's calling from India about my property nearby, or it's a kid, or it sounds like a little kid. Sometimes, there are people that don't know anything about real estate. In fact, someone said, well, are you in town? No, sir, I am not in town. And, they don't want to say that, but because it's like, why are you interested if you can't see it? You know what I mean? I play with them a little bit once in a while. But a person wrote, Cardone, I guess is what it really is. Cardone is just a manipulator. All he does is raise money. And I think he actually makes some really good money on his 10 times stuff as far as, guiding people with being better, in the corporate world. That's where he made his money, I believe, is in the corporate world. And he bought a nice house at a good time when things were going up like crazy, and he bought a decent apartment building. And those two assets, I think, are legitimate good purchases. And he was, this is my opinion, from what I gathered, and I don't know, I have 100%. I'd love to talk to Grant. We can collab, and not necessarily, but honestly, and believe me, not everybody wants to be interviewed by me probably, but, I'm game. Anyways, let's see what Chick Flawless wrote. I posted on the Bigger Pockets forum about Pace Morby, and people are all like, oh, he's printing money with people all over the community, but I haven't seen anything or anybody truly make any money. Well, that's my experience too, Chick, is it's all talk. It's all talk. There's just, I don't see anything there. You can't fool me because I actually do have experience. I've actually been doing this shit for, like, say, over 4 decades. So when I hear Pace start to talk, and the other thing is, you know what I've also noticed about Pace? Have you ever noticed this, son? When Pace Morby talks, it's kind of like, he's talking like he's a cool 20-year-old guy or a cool 18-year-old. It's like, hey, bro, sup? You know what I mean? It's like, he's like, and that's because, you know why? It's because it's like if you're in Mexico long enough, you start to have an accent, even though you don't speak the language, okay? Because people are talking to you in Spanish, or with a Spanish, a little bit of that rubbing off, that you can kind of tell when somebody's, from another country. But with Pace, he's talking kind of like a child or like a teenager, right? And it's because that's his company. That's the company he mixes with. You know what I mean? And so and it's kind of sad, okay? But I understand. It's like even Ross Perot used to say, when I'm talking, you got to talk how the people you're talking to. If you're talking to a ditch digger, talk like a ditch digger, whatever that meant to him. But I understand. Keep it simple for people that are simple, and if you've got the bandwidth to be more articulate, then do it. But Jackson 5, come on back, put that back in there. I saw it. I started to read it. Walter Jacob, no offense, but I must ask, why didn't you travel across the state like Ben Mala to the 10 times richer? Walter, I didn't even know about it, okay? Listen, I actually am a full-time real estate investor, and Ben, and listen, Ben is paying big time for not watching his stuff. And so, Walter, I can tell you, Ben should have paid more attention to his real estate business, and he'd have more money today than he'd ever have by the time that he spent on the channel. Listen, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I've got a major thing going on right now that has nothing to do with YouTube or real estate, and it's distracted me terribly, and it's cost me money in the form of deals. I lost a 48,000 square foot office building. So, they say jack of all trades, master of none. When you start to spread yourself a little bit thin, the biggest losses you'll have if you're really a good real estate investor is you're going to miss some really good deals. And or in case with Ben Malla's deal, I think he was so distracted he didn't really pay attention to the interest rates like he should have, and the threats that were there. And so he got caught in all these, he got caught in high interest rates. And he knows, in retrospect, he knows exactly what he should have done. But in retrospect, what he did is exactly what I did. And it's also what I advised all my students. All my students will tell you. And we got some in here watching. And I'd say, listen, if you're not going to keep it, you better sell it now or refi it. In other words, refi it if you plan on keeping it, or get rid of it and roll into something better, ideally. And so here's something else I like to do, by the way. Is it Walter? I think it's Walter. Walter Jacob. And I'm not offended. I don't have thick skin. I mean, I don't have thin skin. I have thick skin. Now, I'll fight back. I mean, I'll bite back or whatever else. But did I answer your question? I want to know if I satisfactorily answered your question. But number one, I didn't know about the 10 times richer. I don't even know. I didn't know anything about that. But I am going to do seminars. But like I say, I reached out to Ryan Pineda, and they did not call me back. But it could be because I'd be sharing a stage with, Ryan Pineda I've been critical of. Brandon Turner I've been critical of. Pace Morby I've been critical of. So, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be very well liked. I really wouldn't be very well liked. You did, yes. Yeah, thanks. Walter, did you fix your rates? Yeah, I did. I did get fixed rates on the loans that I got. And it's all math. Here's the thing, Walter. A lot of times you can have a variable rate. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you go get a variable rate, when you go to get that, when you make that deal with your bank, if your banker in the bank has the capacity, some of them have more flexibility than others, you can agree to the rate readjusting in 3 to 5 years or 10 years, whatever. You can't always get more than 5 years because some banks just they can't. Your banker they don't have the capacity. Others will give you 10 years in some areas, but they're not able to do it. So what you do is you put a cap so that when at the end of your 5 years, when they say, okay, we're going to go back and look at the market and we're going to bring it up, you put a cap on that, and you can reduce that down to 1% cap, so that you go, okay, I got a 4 cap today, and it's variable, but it's going to max at 5. In other words, it's going to max at 5 because it's not going to hit you any harder than that. So anyways, these are things you can do. A lot of people don't do and don't know that they can do. Yeah, Kenneth, finding the deals is everything. This is what I teach people to do in my class, is find the deals. By the way, please hit that subscribe button. If you would, hit that like button. Helps the channel. Comment always. And listen, I love tough questions. I wish people would ask these other fake gurus tough questions. You guys, if you haven't watched it, watch the Pace Morby video that I just did. Most of these guys, they talk about everything but a real good reason for why you should believe they know what they're talking about. And Pace Morby, you know what? He had 2 stories. I put them side by side. The bunnies, right? Everybody that follows Pace apparently knows all about the bunny stories, and they're impressed until they saw the video that I did, where he told the bunny story 2 different ways. And he didn't falsify the claim of profit. He said 25 and 25 was the profit. But he said it's the most important deal he's ever done, and that he'll never forget it. But guess what? He forgot $100,000 or $110,000, because that is the difference. He said he sold for $165, and then a year later, he's telling another YouTuber he sold it for $175. You know what I mean? Or 275. There's a $100,000 disparity. And you know what I mean? Listen, if I made a mistake like that in my video and somebody pointed it out, I'd jump right in and say, oh, let me tell you, this is what happened. Just like I just answered your question. It's the guys that dodge it. I do some marketing. Well, yeah, that's a loaded question. You're asking questions about how I make money in real estate. You got to just go buy my book. That's a good reminder, though. So look, get my book right here. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. Urge you to get the paperback and get the Audible, because on the Audible I go off script and I talk about some of the things that you're not going to find in the book. And also, if you get the Kindle, there's some links that'll go to relevant videos to the subject that I'm talking about. All very important, very good stuff. And urge you to do it. Hey, son, where's the 20-second spiel? Is that over here? Top left. All right, so look, guys, I want you to watch this. I'm going to show you something. And tell me if you guys like this, by the way. I'm going to break here for like 18 seconds. I'm going to say 15 seconds, okay? But I'm lying. It's 20 seconds, okay? That's it. But I'm going to break this. I want you to see this. Tell me if it's too long or not. Tell me if you understand it. Because I'm just taking to you a little piece of my warehouse space, kind of my yard, not the warehouse itself. But I want you to watch this and tell me if you get it. Okay, watch this real quick. Hey, Tom here. Look, wholesalers, flippers, investors, listen, you want to get good guidance. You want to build a portfolio. This is what it really looks like to be a successful real estate investor. Been doing it for 4.5 decades, have hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals, have students that have become millionaires in as little as 2 years. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. I'll show you how to do it. Okay, sorry about that. Anyways, so I just... what you saw, okay, you saw 30 years of stuff, okay? I mean, I have 44 years of stuff, but it was about 34 years ago that I moved to the area that I'm in now. And so all that stuff that you saw behind me is, you're looking at gates and windows and doors and retail fronts, and, there's roll-up doors and steel frame doors. You're seeing everything that an investor within Spirit, I've got 200,000+ square feet, may have 300,000 square foot. I think I will have 300,000 square feet of space here before the end of the year. And maybe even double, who knows. But I expect to have maybe another 100,000. But that's what it is really like. Ben will show you the same thing. He's got the same thing. I used to have everything in a huge, warehouse or part of an office building that I had. But it became too valuable for that kind of storage, right? So I had to find alternative means of storing all that shit because it's just so valuable. You can't just keep it there all the time. But so look, some of you guys are just getting here late. I'm going to play this one more time. I want you to watch this because this is kind of a pretty good, honest. It's very honest. Just take a listen to this. And I've been critical of Ryan. Listen.
For anything else. I can learn from them, but until I actually do it, it's hard to have authority on it. Plus, I can only have authority on what I've accomplished. I retired from baseball in 2017. So I've truly only been in business for 6 years. That's what I've really actually focused in business. And then when you see guys like Patrick Bet-David who've been doing it since he was 18 years old, a guy like Cardone's been in business for 40 years. I've been in business for some, I'm just very aware of my position and where I stand in the totem pole. I have more experience than 99.9% of people, but if I'm looking at the guys I look up to, it's not that I'm behind or I'm slower or I'm not as smart. It's just time. You can't trade experience for anything else. I can learn from them, but until I actually do it, it's hard to have authority on it. Plus, I can only have authority.
I'm going to pause that here. So I like that, and I think it's interesting that he's talking to Brandon because I think Brandon could be just as humble, and that it wouldn't help his pocketbook. But he's talking about business. He's not necessarily talking about investing in real estate. I don't think Ryan is, but I think he's talking about just being successful in being a YouTuber, right? I think his models are he likes Meet Kevin and probably Graham Stephan, who I actually like both of those guys a lot. I have been critical on them. Nobody's really safe, to be quite honest. If I see something, I'm an advocate for the people watching. By the way, I almost just wrote, great book, just gave it to my son, and I hear that a lot. I'll tell you what's really cool is there's guys in the class or people that have bought my book too that even aren't in the mentorship they bought but this is really a cool one. I got a guy that's got 9 kids, and he's got adult kids and he's got little kids. He bought a couple of his adult kids, my book, and plus he's in the mentorship. And so now his kids are taking some of the deals that he would have otherwise had himself because they're in his area. And so he's like, my kids are taking my deals. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to lose a deal to somebody, at least you're keeping it in the family. So that's awesome. Anderson, good to see you in here, Anderson Lynn, and also in the class. But I appreciate the kind words, guys. But yeah. Anyways, any questions? I always like, any thoughts? And we're kind of scrolling through these shorts.
My funnel.
I don't want to just go after.
Once I became a dad, I feel like I could understand just a little bit more of what God feels like. When we talk about how can God love everyone? I love my kids, even when they're terrible people, but I still love him with everything in here, right? And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now. Or little things like, when I was younger, I used to beg God for answers to things like, what college do I go to? Or what career do I get? What if God just wants us sometimes to do what we want, in a large way? I think the Jonah situations are a lot more rare. You will go to this college.
All right. So, it looks like they interviewed each other. It looks like the same day, right? Or it's just part of a conversation. Anyways, so look, Brandon, be happy to talk to you too. Brandon, when somebody makes a statement like Brandon has, I went from 3 million to 11,000 doors. It's like, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? If you said I went from 3 million to a billion or something like that, it's quantified with a number that's it's relevant to the number you began with. So you got 3 million in real estate, and now I have 11,000 doors. Well, see, listen. I'm like not even a detective. I can kind of see that something smells when I see it. It just doesn't make sense why you would say that, unless you're trying to mask the number on the end. In other words, when you say I went from $3 million in real estate to 11,000 doors. Well, I mean, again, it makes it sound like you personally own 11,000, individual rentals, okay? And the fact is, then you have to speculate, right? Maybe he wants people to assume that, think he's better than he is, and more fantastically successful than he is. And I understand the approach. I don't approve, but I get it. But if somebody skeptical like me looks at it, it makes me think this guy's a scammer, and he's misrepresenting his experience, and then I lose respect for him, right? And I'd love for you guys to chime in on that. And somebody can call, by the way. That's the number right there. You call that number, you can jump in. In fact, Ryan can call in if he wants. There's a number. Brandon can call in. Pace Morby could call in. Anybody can call in. I appreciate Meet Kevin. Meet Kevin had called in. He actually wrote him when I did a video kind of critical on him. I kind of feel bad about Kevin. I like Kevin a lot, and he was nice enough. He wrote me originally a long time ago first, and just kind of commented on the video and said, "Hey, good job, this and that," and gave me some. And I had just done a critical video on him, and he's kind of, I don't see him even doing any real estate anymore. But so I got nothing to pick on anymore with him so much. Well, I guess he's got house hack, but I don't see what he's doing with it. Anyways, your question. Do I have an opinion on Jerry Norton? Yes, I see he's highly associated with Pace Morby. And so I've looked at Jerry Norton a little bit. I think he looks like a wholesaler. Wholesalers crumbs, right? Wholesalers make crumbs, okay? Now, and what I noticed, what stuck out with me with Jerry Norton, better stick Jerry Norton's face on there now, son, is with Jerry Norton, I saw him very complimentary. There was a video that Pace Morby did, and he's talking about this great deal in Arizona, and it was shit. There was a terrible margin. Everything and you can watch the video. Maybe we'll stick it in the links. It was a horrible deal. I would call it a horrible deal. It was not even worth talking. I wouldn't advise any of my students to take that stupid deal. And Jerry Norton wrote something, and I'm paraphrasing or guessing roughly, but he was supportive of, oh, that's a great deal. Or no, I was critical, and Jerry Norton came in behind me and said something, oh, yeah, who's this guy, or I don't know what. And I wrote back, I said, Jerry, you think that's a deal? And he crickets. He never responded back, right? He didn't respond back. And it's probably, there's twofold. One, If he's critical, then he's critical of his buddy, who's also, you know, somebody he collaborates with, right? And so it's kind of a no-win. And if it says it's a good deal, then he looks like he's just as dumb as Pace is. And so again, that's kind of a bad one on. It's just not good. It just shows inexperience. If he supported it, it would really make me think he really doesn't know what he's doing. But with Jerry, the signals that made me think, the feeling that I got with him that made me concerned is that I didn't see any real success. I haven't seen any real student success or testimonials of, you know, I got students that have made millions, and they talk about it, and I've interviewed them, and it's fantastic. And others make, you know, whatever, 50,000, 100,000, you know, several hundred thousand, and they're growing all the time. I mean, it's, you know, you make a couple $100,000 before you make a couple million. And so I don't see that kind of credibility from any of the guys that we've discussed so far. And I can't even say that I even know of anybody that has near the credibility as I do, that has, you know, student success and personal success. You know, I had a girlfriend, her dad, a long time ago, anyways, 5 sisters singing, all beautiful voices, all beautiful girls. It's an old girlfriend of mine. And her dad, they called him Fireball Bob. And there was guys that could sing better than him, and there was guys that could play better than him. And so these other, Buck Owens was somebody that was on par with him in some ways. But somebody gave him a really good compliment. They said, this is what they say about him. They go, there's guys that can play a little bit better than him, and there's guys that can sing better than him, but there's nobody that can play and sing better than him, okay? And that's me. I'll say that about me. There's guys that maybe can invest or done better than me. I don't know who they are. I mean, and there's guys that maybe have had more success than me, and maybe they have more students or followers than me. But I don't even care about followers. I care about success. But I don't think there's anybody out there that has as great a record as I do of success investing in real estate. And I'm open book. Everybody sees my stuff, and have better students than me. Nobody has better students than me. Nobody has more successful students than me. At least if they do, I'm unaware of them. And hey, if you just got in, we're getting more and more people watching. I appreciate that. Listen, I'm Tom McKay, and I'm super critical of other real estate personalities out there that profess to have experience that they don't. Ryan Pineda is somebody that also, to his credit in this video, he's kind of admitting he doesn't really have a lot of credibility or history, but he's learning. But that's not the kind of guy you want to jump on and take advice from somebody that's learning. He's blind. You know what I mean? It's like the blind leading the blind. He's kind of in that category. But he has segued into being more of an interviewer, and so I give him credit for that. But when I see, you know, an email saying, "Oh, this is what you should do," or I got it wrong, because he's honest. He's got it wrong about a lot of stuff, and he does talk about it. Amica Gabo. Well, that's a mouthful, buddy. I don't know how to say that, but Amic, I'll say. Do you not agree with Pace Morby's strategy of doing subject to and seller finance deals to get lower interest rates? You're kind of asking a compound question. I've been doing seller finance. The first deal I bought 44 years ago was seller financing. I love seller financing. There's all kinds of creative finance and stuff that you haven't even heard from Pace. Pace doesn't even know about that I've done. As far as the sub-2 strategies stink overall, because if you listen to most of the setups and stuff that Pace talks about, it's like, and he's even getting the agents involved. So you get an agent involved. There was a deal I'm talking about. There was no money. In other words, this deal had so little equity in it that they had to ask. I mean, the agent basically took what the person owed on the property and added his commission, so that, and maybe some closing costs, because basically this guy was underwater. In other words, he owed so much on it compared to what it would sell for on the market, that if it sold for exactly what they asked for, be taking a little bit of a beating, not getting the full commission that he'd normally get in order to sell it. And so, and then you got Pace, hey, I'll save you. They've got a 3%, locked in rate on a property that's nearly 100% financed. No, that is foolish, and I'll tell you why. In fact, why don't you give me a separate scene of paces, or point me to one, and I'll go rip it to shreds. We'll go look at it right now. And the reason being is a lot of people that, he's surrounded by young people, and they got another thing they're doing now, where they're trying to sell people on, you get a house, and then you rent out the rooms. Like, you're going to get a house, and then you're going to rent out the individual rooms. Of course, they've been doing with the nurses thing and the drug and shit about real estate, get all excited about, oh, how great. Yeah, how wonderful to have a house full of people that have drug and alcohol problems. Oh, yeah, awesome. Okay. Now, the nurse thing is legit. I'll say that. But the idea that you're going to go out there and rent individual rooms to people that don't know each other, they may not like each other. I mean, listen, when roommates when you rent out a room to roommate, one guy owns it, lives in the place, that works. Okay, I was a young guy. I rented out half a house. I never had to have multiple roommates. Oh no, one time I did, and it sucked. But anyways, the point I'm making here is they make the probabilities. Pace does this the worst. You can say the best, depending on what your goal is as a business person. Mine is not to simply take money. Listen, I want a legacy of helping people get rich, okay? And that's what my legacy is right now. You're not going to find complaints. You're not going to find, I tell people, more people know that want to get in my class than I say yes, because they got to demonstrate common sense, and they got to have some cash. They got to be able to make money. And by the way, if you just got in here, I see a lot of people are getting in here now. For me anyways, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. But number one, go take a look at FlipAnythingUSA.com. Nobody's got the experience that I have out there teaching people to make money in real estate. And I mean nobody. Not Pace, not Grant, nobody. In fact, I tell people, I like Ben Mala a lot. But, Ben's more of a hotelier. He's got 800 employees. You know what I mean? That's a business. That's a business. That's a money-making business. Okay, that's not the same. But he could load. He could be definitely somebody for that. And he buys a lot of big, huge deals. And I like Ben. I think Ben's great. In fact, I had a student, I should say a potential student. This guy really didn't have the best common sense, and because he'd be perfect, but he was hell bent on building a place. And I said, dude, you're wasting your money. Why would you build a place when you can buy a place for less than construction cost? And I said, you should get in the class. You'll learn. You'll be around people. You'll learn. He was smart. I said, and you'll learn. You'll start to learn what you don't know. And he said, oh well, is there, he just was paralysis by analysis. And I said, listen, I'm done talking to you. I said, why don't you get a consult call with Ben Mala? Pay Ben and because he's going to tell you the same thing. But let's go to Jackson 5. Did you know Pace rents of his sub 2 deals? I don't know what you're saying here. To unbanked illegal immigrants, and he pockets the difference. He talks about it. No, I don't care. I mean, he's renting to illegal aliens. I don't care. I'm sure I have done the same thing, and I currently am doing the same thing. I am sure. I don't care. When you say unbanked, I'm assuming you're talking about, you say illegal, so I think you were talking about illegal immigrants. I don't care. They're all over the country, and I've employed hundreds of them, okay? I got people from Salvador. I got them from all over the place. They all speak Spanish. That's what they all have in common. And they all do a good job. Otherwise, it wouldn't be working for me. But what else? Anyways, but yeah, it's the inability. It's people not asking critical questions.
Here's how much I pay every week for all my chores. I pay my private chef $1,000 to cook.
What's it?
This kid,
My funnels do over $1 million a month.
I saw where he changes his
you
hair
can't
every
trade
week.
experience for
Every
anything else.
week.
Like, I can learn from them, but until I
I can't imagine getting a haircut every week. I don't have time for it. Do you think it's feasible to wholesale on market deals ethically? Well, I mean, there's nothing to stop you from being ethical. The problem with what a lot of people teach is that you should about what you should. Well, I mean, you need to learn how to talk to people. That's fair. A lot of people are not. Everybody's comfortable talking to people. I've never been uncomfortable in my life. I can talk in front of a lot of people. I don't even ever have really. I'm not shy. And I'm confident. Now, I can't get out there and tell people about how to invest in stock. And some people, they're just like the weather. They just blow with the trends. And Chris Crone's one of those guys. Shit. He's in a Bitcoin lawsuit now. Related to, or some sort of coin suit. And he's been in real estate suits where people, I've seen ones where he supposedly misrepresented the value of properties that he was getting people to invest in on or something. But you can read up on the court case. I don't pretend to know too much on that. What I would tell you is that there is a fortune to be made in real estate. It is very difficult for people that don't know. If you don't know what you're doing, it's like if you go to a doctor could tell you have cancer and all kinds of stuff, and it wouldn't be true, and you might believe him because you're not a doctor, right? And somebody that can pretend to be a know-it-all in real estate, and you don't know if they're telling you the truth or not because you don't know enough. See, you buyer beware. You got to look for credibility, but that's what you can do, right? You can look at student success. You can look and I'm going to show you this, and please stick with me, my regulars. But I'm going to put you through the pain of going to my page for a second. First of all, go to FlipAnythingUSA, and you can go to my success page, right? And look at these people, watch these people. This gentleman made a couple $100,000 in 2 years, and now he's damn near $500,000 right now. But most of the people on this page have made $1 million since they've been in my mentorship, okay? And these are people that haven't been doing real estate very long at all, okay? And this gentleman, $2.5 million on a single deal. And he did quite a few deals before that. You will get a grand slam like that if you stay involved in it long enough. You will get a grand slam once in a while. And I don't describe the profits that you make in my classes. Oh, you can get bite-sized chunks. I'm very specific. You can make tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and more of my testimonials are all 100,000 plus by a lot, and that's what it should be. Hey, Grant Lee, how you doing, buddy? So Amic, I'm just going to call you Amic. Amic, listen, go get some skills. Go figure out how to do something. I'm not saying you haven't, but you're asking a lot of questions. Sound like a young guy trying to figure it out, and I get it. But it's like, this is what he wrote. He said, any thoughts on buying a service-based business? Hell no. On market deals ethically and sustainably. I'm sorry, sir, I'm mixing. He's got so many questions, I'm getting mixed up. For cash flow. Listen, I've built businesses, okay, like Ben Mala. Again, there's a guy that has a hotel business, right? And in fact, I could only speculate the hotel business is giving him an income to help pay for the mistakes that he made by not, being a good investor. And I'm not knocking you, Ben, but obviously you make good money with your hotels, and they're probably getting killed also from the interest rates. But in other words, he's paying for it. It's rough when you're taking money you earn to pay for a mistake you made in the form of interest and that sort of thing. And listen, I've done that at some point in my past too. But let's see. Demonez says, to clarify, I don't mean being comfortable talking with people. I mean, if you have no money actually to buy the property, most people, you lie and say, I'm the right. Yeah, well, so listen, yeah, there is something to learn there, right? There is something to learn. And you know what? Do this. Because there's something that's worth a lot of money that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to teach you for free. And that's, go to FlipAnythingUSA.com and go right here on my page. Go to apply for mentorship. Okay? Apply for mentorship. Just a tiny little form to fill out. You fill that out, and in the end, I'm going to end up texting and saying, here, I'll talk to you. And I'm going to explain to you what the best thing you should do, okay? But yeah, listen, here's the beauty of real estate for everybody watching, number one. Let's go to Google Earth just for a second here. So, I like using this because this is the best example I can get, is, look at all this, you've got all this inventory. Anybody, all the businessmen that are watching me right now, you guys know, there's nothing worse than not having inventory, having sales. I don't care if somebody comes in to buy a shoe and you go in the back and you don't have their size. Shit. You know what I mean? And you can break it down to somebody wants a car with, white leather or whatever, and you got the car, but you don't have the interior, but you can fix that, send the car out and have the interior redone. But not everything is as simple as that. The thing is you have to have inventory. So what I want you to do is look behind me. There's no shortage of inventory. There's inventory everywhere. And I'm not talking about the blue dots. The blue dots are the stuff I already bought. I already bought all the blue dots, right? I bought and sold some of them. It's everything in between the blue dots and everything around it. That's available inventory, right? Now, it's like a piece of fruit, right? You don't want to eat a green apple, or I shouldn't say green apple, an apple that's not ripe, right? If an apple's not ripe, you can't eat it. It's nasty, it's hard, but and just like every piece of property there, they're not all ripe for the picking, right? They're not ripe for the picking yet, but they will be, okay? And so this is the things that it's hard to explain to you that you need to understand is that, okay, I've been doing it for 44 years, and I've been a super aggressive real estate investor. And so the advantage I have, and I tell people, I don't care if there are not even many people that have been doing it as long as I have, because usually they start later than 19, and now they're dead or dying or tired, and understand? And I'm probably, this is why there's a window for you to learn from me before I get too tired to do this shit. Now, lucky for you, I got a history of living in the 90s for the men on my side of the family, if dementia doesn't kill us. So good health, and anyways, but that's what you need to know is there's just things if I try to write a book on everything I know, it'd be boring because there's no reason for everybody to know about every little teeny tiny thing. But what's nice is this is the beauty of mentorship. I give you the fundamentals. I give you the most important things that you need to know to go to find a deal. And then guess what? When that opportunity comes, it's like, oh, Tom, shit, I got one on the line, right? That's like fishing, right? I got one on the line. It's like, okay, let's reel it in. And that's where I bring value to you is not just how to find those deals so you can get a fish online, the honey hole, as I would call it, the honey hole, where they're biting, but the other thing is how to reel it in, right? How to reel it in, and that means negotiating, talking. I mean, there's just so much to cover. There's also problems that come up that scare the shit out of some people. That doesn't bother me, and there's a reason why. It's because I know how to deal with it. Rianne said, super excited to work with you, Tom. Are you already in the class? Because I don't know. Are you joining? I don't know. I've been seeing your name. I'm going to say Ryan because it's with an I. But Ryan, I hope you're in the class, or certainly do what I just had described. Get anybody watching. I'm telling you, you want to have an inventory like this, and I got more than this. This is just what I got around me now. But there's so much more than that. But get in here, go to FlipAnythingUSA, apply for mentorship right at the top bar. And no matter what page you land on, that's where you're going to find it, right here at the top bar. And get on my email list. That's the best thing I can tell you. So let's go here. The only reason I asked is because a lot of people have convinced me that wholesaling is really the only way to get started. No, that's not true. It's a fair assessment. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. So let me just, I'm going to take you back in time here just for a quick second, and I'm going to show you, see that? This is a fraction of the properties that I bought you see scrolling by on my left. And guess what? All mine have addresses. There's no vague bullshit. But I'll show you a couple properties. Here's one right here. This would be my first, what you would guys, like you describe. And I haven't done many of them, okay? But this, and I bought all these properties that you see that have the blue dot, with the exception of actually two now to think about it. So this is what I considered my first wholesale deal. And this was me. I already bought this building back here, owner finance, got a great deal on it. I bought this little house with a partner. I didn't have the money. He put the money up on that one. I got this one by myself. That was a prize. But this one here, I had a great deal. I could get it for $150,000, and it was worth probably $225,000. And so I reached out to my boss, John Brooks, and my old boss. I didn't work for him at the time, but I used to work for him, and I knew he had money and he's a good guy. He was successful. He's smart. And I said, "Hey, John, I got this great deal." And he says, "Hey, Tommy." I took him down to the street and we walked around this building. And this is 1984. Okay, it was like 1984, and this business it was a hardware store, and they went out of business. Nobody could find them, and they were going into foreclosure. Well, I found them, and I found out that somebody else had carried a note, and I made a deal, but they were calling the note. They wanted all cash, so I went to somebody that had that kind of money. He looked at it. He said, "Tommy, this is a great deal." And he goes, and I go, "Great, John, let's buy it, and we'll make some money, And he's like, "Yeah," he goes, "I don't want a partner." And I was like, "Huh? What?" And he goes, "How about I just give you 20 grand and I'll buy it by myself?" That was my introduction to assignments. I just call it assignments because that's what I did. And I assigned him that deal. He gave me $20,000, and that's when the light bulb went out. You know what? Worst case, when I can't close something, I can either bring in a partner, like I did over here on many properties, but this one here, or I can sell it. I can just, I sell my interest. I mean, it's like selling my interest in advance. When like wholesalers, if even though you don't have an interest in it, your interest is, there's profit here, but you're giving up your portion of that profit by saying, "Here, you can take it." So yeah, it's fair that you can do that, but you don't want to do it for long. And so it's okay. It's an okay thing to begin with. Look for a deal. You bring me something, I'll buy it. And by the way, all you guys watching, there's a new app called Bird Dog Pro, BirdDogPro, Bird Dog Pro. Take a look at that app. I just looked at it the other day. It looks quite interesting, and it's all free. But anyways, I think I answered your questions. But anyways, anybody got anything else? Any question you can call in to? Anybody want to argue with me? Anybody want to defend Pace or anybody that I've ever attacked, have at it, we'll go at it. Or if you want to ask any questions, you got a legitimate real estate issue. Some of my students are people that called in like this, had an issue, and I resolved it for them, and then they bought the property, made some money, or they didn't buy the property, or they missed the property because they didn't jump on it quick enough. I had a guy call in before, and I said, "Man, you got to get off the internet right now. Pencil that thing, get it signed." And he missed it, but he joined the class anyways. Read your book and listened to the audiobook same time. Highly recommend for everyone. Yeah, so look at, you're probably, listen, just do that. Go fill out that. Anybody here, anybody watching, get the book, fill out the webinar, or not the webinar, fill out the mentorship, apply for mentorship. It's the best way that you get a call with me for free, okay? And I've spent hours on the phone with people before, and I'm like, what the, you know what I mean? And listen, listen, you got to understand, somebody could be a young guy, and all they've ever done is bullshitted people and made money bullshitting. And then as they get old, then they get gray haired and they seem a little grandfatherly, you know what I mean? But they're still a crook, okay? In other words, if you make your money swindling people, for lack of a better term, when you're young, and then you can do it when you're old, you know what I mean? You're just a seasoned crook. And I'm not even referencing crook to anybody that we've even spoke about. I think there's people that are out there that are unethical. I think there's people that misrepresent their experience. But, and in fact, we were just watching Ryan Pineda. I think Ryan is it's almost like, what was that Jim Carrey movie where you watched him grow up or whatever? He was like in a world. Anyways, he's white. He's open book. He's open book for the most part. But he's telling people, "Oh, you should do this." And then later on he's going, "Oh, boy, I screwed up doing that." And see, it's just his age. He doesn't know it, and he admits that he doesn't know it. And I appreciate that, Ryan. And, I'd love to have you on. I'd be kind to you. But I appreciate his honesty. And then, like I say, Brandon got on my radar a little bit, and I'll tell you why. I think he is misrepresenting his experience. He's definitely not super clear with what he's done and how he's made it. It's some of the stuff he's saying just doesn't make sense. But I got it in here. Where is that? Just had it up. Yeah. So I got these series of shorts. Okay, here's a guy here. I don't know if this is the guy. Actually, so listen to this. Watch this short. If I can make it big enough. Bear with me. I'm going to play this. And you guys, let's just see how well you're at discerning what you watch. Okay, watch this.
Estate investing myths are keeping you broke. See how the average investor that uses this boring strategy averages a $56,000 profit in their first 45 days, and how you can too.
So Cameron Cathcart made a free 4-part real estate investing training to show you how to do 100 deals per year, which is what Cameron's currently doing right now in this crazy real estate market, while also mentoring real estate investors like you and as a new host of my podcast. So click the link to see the step-by-step process.
Okay, so I don't believe anybody can make $56,000 their first week. Don't believe it. But you got to read between it, right? The average deal. Now, it doesn't mean maybe 1 in 1,000 make a deal, right? So people think that, oh, gee, everybody makes that gets in the class. Obviously, not true for probably anybody, not including myself. All right, son. Thanks. Have a good one. But so now, why does this bother me? Because Brandon is recommending somebody named Cam or Cameron, okay? And now, but this is Brandon is getting people into his, whatever he calls his class. I was going to say master class, but that would really be a joke because he's not a master. But in other words, why would you promote? It's like, hey, this is, the Coca-Cola show, and today our guest is Pepsi. You know what I mean? It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Why on earth would you advertise a competitor? So, you know what I mean? It smells. It's stupid. And even Ryan Pineda and Brandon Turner being on the same, are they competing? You know what I mean? I'm trying to tell you, I'm smarter than these guys, right? And I'm willing to prove it. We can go be live, ask questions, whatever. I can stand it. I have the history. I have the credibility. I have the knowledge. I've been doing it so long. But instead of just saying, you can do it too, it's fantastic, and all this ambiguous bullshit that really, it doesn't go to, look at this person, this is how much they made. Not, there's bite-sized chunks. You can make a lot of money. I like specifics. The word deal is starting to get ruined for me because it's used by so many fakes. But let's watch a little bit of this real quick. Can you guys speak up?
Process for how Cameron takes home over $1 million a year from real estate investing, and you can as well. If you're not currently making that much or doing that many deals, it's probably because you're following the wrong strategy for the current market. Cam will show you how.
Listen. So again, if you're not making $1 million a year, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Now, so let's think about this. Cam Cathcart, I guess, right? So I looked up Cam Cathcart, and what do you think? And I think he's saying on this thing, it's like he's got 400 houses, right? Cam Cathcart, he's got 400 houses. Okay, he's got 400 houses. Well, I look up, or maybe it's another video, but it's Brandon saying, this kid's got 400 houses, bought 400 houses. Well, I look up, and there's like a inside business or some business article on the same guy, and it's on him and his wife, and it's only about a year, maybe a year or two that this article was out, and they're talking about how they bought 30 homes, how they had got, and now they have 30 homes, they have 30 houses. So it's, how did he pick up 370 homes in that much time, in that short a time? And somebody wisely wrote and questioned, they wrote underneath, somebody want to explain to me how this guy bought a house every 3 days. That's what he said. How did this guy buy a house every 3 days or something like that? And it's like, and believe me, listen, I bought a lot of houses and all kinds of properties. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Anyways, yeah, I can't get into all the book, dude. But you can get a hold of me on that, and we'll talk. Anybody else? If you got a question, you can call in. I got to wrap it up. It's Valentine's Day. Gonna grill a steak and drink some wine, and then see the mentees tomorrow. Every Saturday morning, we're in a private mentorship, and it's the smartest. And Pace Morby ruined the word community for me because he's got about the dumbest community I've ever seen, but I have a fantastically brilliant, bright community. Super proud of all my students. And in fact, I converse with many of them regularly through text because I'm answering questions or, we're sharing stuff that's important to know. And I try not to ever let a lesson go by that I don't think people should see. And so I'm sharing a lot just because I maintain so much property. So anyways, if you just got here, and I'm not saying goodbye just yet, so don't run away just yet, but take a quick look at this and give me your thoughts on this.
And listen, time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything USA. Go.
So anyways, that's my fake guru rap. It may be a little long. You guys let me know if I should even throw that out there. But or the thing that you saw earlier, right? And those of you just watch here, listen, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I don't care about the like button. Hit the subscribe button. You don't want this to get away. If you truly want to learn about real estate, you want to learn from somebody that really has done all this shit, not all the bullshitters that'll say and do anything, And again, you got to have experience. And like I say, Brandon here, I question his experience, because of the terminology he uses. And he's like I said, he's promoting somebody else. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Unless you're partners, and that may not be clear. So now listen to this. This is me scrolling. Okay, now let's stop there. Ugh. Where is this damn thing? Oh, I know why. All right, let's listen to this. And one more. Listen to this. You just saw Brandon basically saying, listen to this guy that knows a lot about real estate. Now, why would you do that and then invite people to get in and where you are selling something about, you know what I mean? I don't buy it, but let's watch.
But you still want to scale. You want to get back motivated and hit true, actual financial independence. This video is for you. It's for people who feel like they've plateaued. I'm Brandon Turner. You might know me from my time on the Bigger Pockets podcast, or maybe you read a book or two of mine, or maybe I'm brand new to you. But basically, I was a Midwest kid. I found real estate when I was broke. I made a lot of mistakes. I bought some really junky rental properties and then some good ones. And then I definitely plateaued. I was stuck. I needed to figure out a way through. So I did three big things. Number one, I set a big vision for myself and my company. I mean, I got real clear on where I was going. Second, I worked backwards to create an action plan to get there.
Okay. So again, what I see from Brandon, and just so you know, Brandon, what it sounds like is you had $3 million in real estate, which, that's a house, okay, to some of us. But I'm not minimizing it. It's good. It's good. But to say you went from 3 million to 11,000 doors, or I don't even know, or I think I might have saw one that said 3.5 billion. I mean, one would assume you're talking about your participation in promoting Open Door. Okay, Open Door is accumulated properties, and if that's what you're talking about, you should quantify, like, how much of that $3.5 billion in real estate, or those 11,000 doors, how many of those doors do you own? All right? You know what I mean? I don't understand. It's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you I own Pepsi because I own a couple shares. It's silly. And so again, it's that lack of quantifying I just don't think is honest. And you know, it's not transparent, right? And that's how I think it should be. And we're going to get more into this. I'm talking more and more. You know, people find me and they're like, oh, and they go, something different about you. Yeah, real experience, real experience, real history, and really, really good students that have made a lot of money, and I'm proud of them. And you can see them on my website, FlipAnythingUSA, and I've got many videos at the channel here, so you should hit that subscribe button and watch the playlist on my students. But you'll see them all if you go to FlipAnythingUSA. Because listen, there really is a fortune to be made in real estate. And you know, I just released a video today, and not that this is a great comparison, but it's about a guy that made it's about people that lost $5 million and a guy that made $5 million. One transaction, right? And it's called Squandered Inheritance. But it's a true story, 100% true. It's not my story. I wish I made $5 million one day, but I have bought properties that I've made, you know, a couple $100,000 in a single one, you know, quick deal. You know, I bought properties where there was $1 million equity the day that I bought it. And now my students are replicating my success, but they always have me to fall on and talk to, ask questions. And that's what you need. A mentor is not like a course. A course is like, you know, see you later. A mentorship means I'm eating dinner, I'm kicking back, watching TV with a glass of wine, and I get a text, and it's like, shit. But it's not, shit, it's more like I'm excited because I'm happy for you. If believe me, I get excited. And I'm waiting for the paperwork on a deal right now, and I got to double check that next. But when my students succeeding, I'm succeeding because nobody has testimonials like I have. You should go watch them. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com and go watch those. And let's get rid of this here. And I'm going to close this. But yeah, you can see those here, and urge you to do so. And meantime, you know what? It's Valentine's Day. Time to get busy with that. And I would just tell everybody, listen, there is a fortune to be made. But the only thing worse than getting ripped off by a fake guru is taking their advice. So, because instead of losing, you know, whatever, $7,000 to $15,000 paying for bad advice, is you take the advice and then you get yourself in a jam and you're screwed for 10 years. You know what I mean? You take bad advice, you buy something you shouldn't have bought, and now you're upside down, or you know, in a bad way. And so I tell students that all the time. And you know, people before they even get in, and a lot of students when they get in my class, first thing they realize they shouldn't have bought what they bought. They shouldn't have bought what they bought. The other thing they realize is that they missed opportunities that were under their nose that they didn't realize they were there at the time. So, take care, everybody. See you soon. Hey, Tom here. Look, wholesalers, flippers, investors, listen, you want to get good guidance. You want to build a portfolio. This is what it really looks like to be a successful real estate investor. Been doing it for 4.5 decades, have hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals, have students that have become millionaires in as little as 2 years. Go to FlipAnythingUSA.com. I'll show you how to do it.